I won't take up a lot of time because I know there are things that have to happen here. But I want to say I appreciate being here, and I'm glad to be able to be invited here. And I appreciate that you're here. Because, you know, I really liked the energy that comes out of your community. Because in my reality, everything is about energy. I mean, it's in every reality, but anyway, how I see things sometimes, everything is about energy. And I like the energy that I feel here and that is generated here. I really, really relate to what you've been doing with the whole concept of medical marijuana, from getting it accepted to the way of distribution of it here in the state of Oregon, or at least in Portland where I'm at. You know, it's not about profiteering. It's truly about the medicinal need. You know, and I operate out of Southern California, and in Southern California, it's, to me, I hear the rhetoric and the words, but I sense it's more about profiteering and profit than it is about the medicinal need. See, so I say I really appreciate that here in this place, that it isn't being, the medicine part of it isn't being forgotten. You know, because I think that it is in a lot of places. And the other thing I want to say is, you know, but this is about medical marijuana just in general, wherever. I think that if the political and social movement groups and organizations that operate in this country today had the same kind of energetic commitment that the medical marijuana people have, I think that many things could change in this country. All right? And that just because, you know, I mean, we go back, it's been a long thing, but we go back 20 years, you know, this was an impossibility where everything stood. But you go back 20 years, all of the other situations were just as intense for their time and place, but in the passage of 20 years, see, something has been accomplished here, energetically, consciously. But you can't say that about any other aspect of the political system. See, so there's something that happens that's just happening that I can't really define, but it can be felt, it's being seen, you know, and so if the energy that the people here carry into all of this, if somehow, you know, this whole understanding could be reached. Because when I look at what's going on, you know, especially with the political organizations, everybody chasing it's just, they're getting nowhere. The situation's just getting worse for all the issues, except here, in the area of this medicine. And it's like the energy, and it's like, you know, it's like we're children of the plant, you know, and that energy is being carried out. You know, and at some point I would really like to see this thing start to expand and go into where the same single-minded focus is put on hemp as earth medicine, medicinal medicine for the earth, under the whole concept of their green economy, of the whole concept of alternative energy, you know, and at some point, if that kind of energy can be put into the focus of hemp, not cannabis and hemp, but as a parallel energy being put out there, you know, and maybe at some point in time this will start to morph into this kind of a thing. But for real, as because I kind of wander around in seriously crazy realities, right? But whatever it is, somehow whatever's going on makes a lot of sense in what's being done. See, so for me, I hear grassroots, I hear all these different things and the labels going on in this. But if there is such a thing as grassroots organizing, you are it. You know, this is where it truly is. I mean, I hear it as terminology about different political issues and things, but sometimes I don't know if there's really any, you know, if it's really about grassroots. But that's just my cynicisms. Right? So anyway, for me, as me being who I am, I appreciate the energy that you bring. You know, and because it's about more than an energy of resistance. It's about, to me, I sense it's about an energy of non-cooperation. See, in some type of a way, the children of the plant aren't cooperating. It's about more than just resisting and protesting. It's about more than that. There's a lack of cooperation. They're not cooperating with the mindset, all right, with the imprinted brainwashing that has been taking place. See, the children of the plant don't cooperate with that around this issue. See, but everybody else, all the movements, they're cooperating with their political, social, economic enemy. They're cooperating with it even when they protest. They build their thing around protest. When they build it just around voting, they're cooperating because they're still believing the imprinted mindset that things can change that way. You know, and non-cooperation, because in the long run for us as human beings, and however this is going to work out, it's really about non-cooperation. We have to learn the ways to not cooperate with their mindset. It's not just to protest and rebel against it. It's about not cooperating with it. And somehow, just organically, see, this is what's happening. The children of the plant, all right, weren't going to cooperate with the lie. And nobody else is doing this. Everybody else is cooperating with the lie by the way however the degrees they'll believe in it. Whether it was the Obama phenomenon, they wanted to believe, they believed in that. All right? But it's cooperating. And I think that so maybe something that as time evolves will kind of morph here, because maybe it'll reach the point when we don't cooperate with the fears that they've implanted in our perception of consciousness. When we don't cooperate with their imposed low self-esteems, the way they've manipulated us. See, maybe we will reach that point when we understand it's about non-cooperation, all right? And because all of us, however we struggle it, because however we live it, wherever we're headed and we're going in this time and place, we all have, because we've all been imprinted with the fears and the doubts and the insecurities. And what I'm saying is, let's consider, but see, every time we go into those places, we're cooperating. We're cooperating with what they imprinted us. So maybe as just a thing that we add on to whatever we're doing, let's examine this and think about this non-cooperation. These fears and these doubts and the insecurities. See, I think we should not cooperate with that lie that has been imprinted into our perception of self. And just see if this becomes a part of what's already starting to grow out of just our reality. So anyway, that's pretty much brief as it's going to get, because I know you have things to, well, there are people waiting to find out things. I know this, right? So, but really, pardon? I thank you for your honesty. Well, I appreciate that, all right? It's just whatever comes out, comes out. All right? That's kind of how it works. But I appreciate that it makes sense. Whatever sense it makes, I appreciate whatever sense that it makes. Because everything being about energy, the energy of our creative intelligence, our creative mind, the power that we have, all right, the power that we carry as human beings, individually, the power that we have. Now, this is the example. But have you ever felt powerless? And while you're feeling powerless, how bad can you make yourself feel with your fears and your doubts and your insecurities? And how does this affect the people that you interact with? If you have the ability to do this, then whatever's going on, you do have power. It's not about being powerless, because if you make yourself feel bad, that's your own power. So, all right, so the understanding, so that power that we have, but that's power, that's an example of power being used from a distorted perception of self, an imprinted distorted perception of self, and power being used incoherently and chaotically. So if we understand that we have power, see, and every time we do that, we're cooperating with the ones that eat off of our energy. So if we understand that we have power, and we look to recognize ourselves through clarity and coherence, then this power, see, we will generate. And this because it's like, it's just time to unleash power, but it's time to understand what power is. And we are it. We're all it. Not a one of us are powerless. And we really need to get that. All right? And the self-judgment things, non-cooperation. We have been imprinted to judge. We have been imprinted to judge and to blame. And I'm saying don't cooperate with that. let's use the power of our creative intelligence to recognize reality and not to judge it. Because when we recognize reality, we can see what is being done. When we judge it, we can't recognize what's being done because our ability to recognize is limited by the fears and the doubts and the prejudices of the judgment. Am I making sense? All right. Same thing applies to thinking and believing. All right. Same thing. And this one gets touchy about believing because we all use it all the time. I believe this. I believe that. All right. But non-cooperation as energy, using our energy coherently, non-cooperation. You cannot think and judge simultaneously. It's one. Think and believe simultaneously. It's one or the other. Thinking is our energy. We project electromagnetic thought. Thinking is projecting energy out in, and energy goes. It's supposed that the energy of thinking is supposed to flow, all right, and it finds its way. But when you take that energy of thinking and you put it in the box of believing, it's in a box, because belief is also limited by its prejudices and its biases and its judgments. So therefore, energy is being taken and is being put into this container, so to speak, which is our mind, all right? But it's energy, and if it doesn't have a way to flow and to go and be creative, then what it does is it still intensifies because it's energy. That's what energy does. And this turns into the stresses, all right, that become a part of how we perceive reality, which are based upon our fears. So so no solution can ever come because we're not using the power of our creative intelligence to think. We're using it, we're keeping it trapped in how we've been imprinted to believe against ourselves. All right? Okay. So now, anyway, whatever made sense of that to you, I'm really glad. All right? And I'm done. All right? But thank you.